tell me what happened.
Um,
That just happened like just a couple of days ago, you mean?
Thursday. Yeah, it happened on Thursday. Unfortunately, I was training back. Everything was good. This was on Tuesday. Wednesday was my rest day. Thursday, I have two dogs. My small dog was he's scared of thunder, so I went to go pick him up. Everything seemed fine. I went to go put him down, and my bicep kind of just stayed like contracted, and I was like, "That's not good."
What do you mean? It just like if you flexed it and it stayed there. It didn't go back.
I went to
It
go
just
pick up my dog. He's a 30-pound dog, 35-pound dog. I picked him up. I was consoling him, making sure he was okay because of the thunder he was scared of. He was fine. It wasn't this guy back here. That's the big guy. But the little guy is a 30-pound dog, and I went to go pick him up. I set him back down, and my bicep kind of just stayed there. It's a very small tear. It's a micro tear. I just got the MRI results back, but unfortunately, I can't compete until August, maybe September.
oh, so there's no way, even though with a micro tear, you can continue training. No.
I mean, I'll show you. I have full range. I have full everything.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah, it's bruised.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, it was bleeding
So
for sure.
it's just, the thing is, if I continue to train on it, I can damage it more.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what show did you have in mind before?
I hadn't announced anything because I was, most people know I took the year off to build out the gym here in South Florida with my training partner or with my business partner. I think I've tried to be a little bit smarter as a bodybuilder than a lot of the guys that I compete with. I don't try to blow through the money that I make. I try to make,
Yeah.
keep my career going outside of bodybuilding. So I took the year off to do that. And of course, I was off of everything. I wasn't training as hard. I used it as a time to let my body kind of heal. And I got back into it. I was training really hard. The muscles coming back on fast. And Patrick and I put together a really great plan. And it was coming together really well. I was shooting for some time in May, June, around there, but I hadn't decided on anything.
Yeah.
I was hoping to jump into the New York Pro, as that's, home for me, obviously.
Right.
So a little bit heartbroken there, but it looks like I'll be able to get back on stage sometime in August, September. This needs, they're telling me it needs at least 2 to 3 weeks without anything,
Wow.
any weight bearing on it at all.
But it's funny that things always happen that have nothing to do with the gym.
Yeah. And I think the biggest takeaway from me with this is I'm getting older, right? Like
How old?
I know I'm young. I'm 37.
Yeah, you're in your 30s.
Yeah, when it's like the physician was saying, like, when you're doing this, I've been doing this over 20 years. I mean, Dennis, I've been doing this since I was a kid. And some sessions are brutal, all out. You're dragging yourself out, and some sessions are just like everyone else. They're good. They're not, you're not dragging yourself out of the gym. You're not killing yourself. But over 20 years, the amount of sessions that I put on and beat up my body was a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like you're saying, I was beating myself up because I'm like, fuck, it was my dog. How did I do this? Like, It was like, dude, you could have picked up a glass of water the wrong way with the way the tendon was and the bicep was, and it could have went. He was like, you can't beat yourself up over it. It's a freak accident. It happened.
Thank God it's just a micro tear, though. Thank God it's really just a micro tear.
That's the thing. I'm glad I didn't have 100 pounds and I'm trying to like muscle the thing up and it really tore.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was a 30-pound dog and it wasn't that big of a deal, but it is going to take me out, off of competing for a month or two.
Yeah. Good thing there's no surgery needed, so you don't have to worry about having an imbalance in the biceps and stuff like that. So that's a good. Well, it's fucked up, but it's a good sign that at least you don't have to go through all this. So let's talk about Jon De La Rosa a little bit.
Yeah.
John, you grew up in New York, if I'm not mistaken, Washington Heights.
Yeah.
That's like somehow like where all the Dominicans grew up, right?
Dominican Republic, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah,
I remember.
Victor grew up there too. Juan was there. All of us.
Yeah, that's why.
All the families migrate there.
Yeah. So, but you born in the U.S., right? Your parents are both Dominican.
My parents were both born and raised in Dominican Republic. They both came here. And again, when everybody immigrated, most Dominicans immigrated to Washington Heights.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I grew up. That's where I spent most of my years.
And you started bodybuilding very early because, and everybody that knows you or knows about you knows your dad is a bodybuilder. And I guess he was your role model when you grew up somehow. Yeah. So tell me, how did this come about? When did you start lifting weights and did your dad, how much of a support was he for you to be a bodybuilder?
My dad it was two. My dad and my uncle, they were both, they were training partners. They were both big. And the way that came about, honestly, I was about 7, 8 years old. And I remember I was becoming more cognizant of how other people would interact with my father. When we grow up as kids, what we see becomes normal to us, right? It is just as adults, same thing. So I never saw my father as this hulking, huge muscle person. To me, it was just my dad.
Right.
But as I got older, my friends, the other kids would be like, "Oh my God, your dad is huge." And then I started to be cognizant of like, the other dads are either fat or skinny or out of shape,
Right.
So it became very interesting to me that like every night my dad would, we didn't have much when I was growing up. So he would drag his multi-purpose bench out into the middle of the living room while everybody's watching TV and start benching and curling and doing his whole workout. And that's when I became intrigued. I was kind of like, man, I want to build a physique like that. Mm-hmm. I want to be big and strong. And he went out and bought me some dumbbells. I was, again, 8 years old, 9 years old.
Too young to go to the gym.
Yeah, and that's how my journey started. And then I remember the very first time that I could actually get a membership, I was like 13 years old. And my dad bought me and my other siblings, my older brother, my younger brother. We all started going to the gym every day together. Right after school, he would pick us up. We'd go to the gym, we'd train. So yeah, it's been a lifelong thing for me. It's something that I genuinely enjoy.
Were you into any other sports before bodybuilding? Did you do any other sports?
Yeah. I've always been a really good athlete. I played basketball and football through high school and college. I was a starting point guard, starting fullback in basketball and football. I played baseball. I was very, very active. I did everything. I did gymnastics. I did all types of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed pushing myself physically. But once I got to the gym and I started to build muscle tissue, for me, that was like the best.
Yeah. And like I said, having a father, and I saw how close you guys were. It was almost like you guys used to train together and everything. And
my dad was my training partner from the age that I was 13 until I moved here 4 years ago. So I was about 34.
Was it like a competition? Did you guys compete with each other?
No.
When did you realize that you're about to surpass your dad? How long ago was that?
I think that was back in 2007 2007 or 2000. I think it was 2007. We were getting ready for the Easterns, USA's, and Steve Weinberger's Eastern USA. It's in November, I believe.
So you guys got together. You guys got prepped for a show together.
Yeah,
both competing
several times. Yeah,
several times. Okay, that's awesome.
So we competed together, and it was a class of I think 47 or 48 guys. This is a funny story actually. Juan Morel was in the light heavies. Marco Rivera was in the light heavies. I was in the light heavies. My dad was in the light heavies, and a bunch of other guys who went on and became good bodybuilders were in the light heavies. My dad placed 7th. I think Juan was like 9th or 10th. Marco was like 15th or 16th. Out of 47 guys, I placed 2nd. So I think that was the moment that my dad and I were both kind of like, "Oh, there's something here,
Yeah.
I can do well." And I think from that, my dad, it was never really a competition. It was more like my dad wanted to become a pro bodybuilder, but he had me at 21 years old. So responsibilities kind of took over, and he didn't have the extra money to, put into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I think when he saw, and that's the other thing, my dad never pushed me into bodybuilding. Never.
So he didn't say, this is what I want you to do. So he just, but he supported you 1,000% though.
Yeah. And he would bring home the Muscular Developments and the Flex magazines. I had pictures of you on my wall. I had pictures of Nasser. I'm not kidding. When you see my dad, you got to ask him. I had pictures of Nasser. I had pictures of you, the famous one of you sitting on the bench like that. Full and nasty. That was to me like, man, I need to look like that. And I had Nasser on there. I had Lee Priest was one of my favorites just because of his stature. He's a short guy. I wanted to be like that. Sean Ray. This is what I wanted, from a very, very young age. So I just became really intrigued with it, watching my father eat and drink protein shakes, and my mother, like back then when I was 10 years old and chugging these nasty ass Metrics protein shakes.
You didn't like him? I liked them back then. The original ones, you just got to blend them right because they still get nice and thick.
Yeah. My mom would yell at my dad, "Don't give him those steroids." What are you talking about?
That's a good question for me here. So let's talk about the dark side of bodybuilding. So now you have a dad who's a bodybuilder, and now he has a son who wants to be a bodybuilder. When did he introduce you, and did he consult you in what to take and how much of it, or did he stay out of it?
So it was actually never a conversation until I brought it up. My father just he allowed things to naturally progress. He didn't push things on me, and he didn't steer me away from anything. He just kind of let things happen. And I think that was probably the greatest thing that he was able to do for me, is that I was able to find my own way, right? Whether it steered me away from competing or whether it led me to further things in competing, I was doing it genuinely because I wanted to do it.
Right.
So I remember the conversation came up. I was competing from 17 years old, 18 years old, and I was winning all of these natural shows. Sean Clarita competed with me in the same divisions, or not the same divisions, the same organization. Yeah. So we were kicking ass on the natural circuit, and
people always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else, every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
It had been brought up to me by somebody there. His name was Bob Gruskin.
Bob Gruskin. I know Bob. You know how I know Bob Gruskin? He was the president for the NABA.
Yes, that's where I was competing.
Me too.
Yes. So I competed at NABA, and I remember Fred Smalls came and whipped everybody's ass. And it was he wasn't well conditioned, but it was a really, really close race or competition because I was really well conditioned. Mind you, I was 180 pounds. He was 230 on stage. But my conditioning made it a close battle for the overall. And Bob Gruskin comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, where are you from?" He starts asking me a bunch of questions. I don't know who Bob Gruskin is from a hole in the wall. And I just see this weird older guy with these glasses. If I can describe this person without offending anyone, but there's a lot of these types of people at these shows. They're not really there because they're bodybuilding fans. They have other interests.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just kind of looking at like, who's this weird dude? Like, but he's dropping some information on me, and it made me perk up my ears. He kept saying like, you can really do well. I can tell you're natural. I can tell you haven't really, supplemented with things. And I'm just letting you know, if you decided to go that route, I think you have a really good future in bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding on the big stage. So I went, and me and my dad were kind of just getting into the competitive scene, and we were both kind of like, "Who the hell was that?" So we started doing a little research, and then I find out he had worked with some of the greats back in the day, like Arnold and Robbie Robinson, a bunch of guys. So I was like, man, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Long story short, I go to his house. He lives in the Bronx. My father and I go to his house, and he starts to tell me to take a whole bunch of stuff. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that right now. And I said, plus, if I do that, I might just be like everyone else.
How old were you at that time?
I was 23.
Oh, okay. So you're old enough.
Yeah, I had been competing a while.
Yeah.
And, I was definitely old enough, but I still was not convinced that I would be Dennis James.
Were you scared? Were you scared, or you just didn't think you were ready for it?
It wasn't more so that I was scared. I'm more of a cerebral person where I think about things before I actually do them. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I can put my health at risk because, again, I didn't know everything about it. I just knew the health risks that were associated with, taking things. And I said, I don't know if I want to risk my health if I'm just going to be another bodybuilder.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then the decision became, well, let's do an NPC show. I'm going to be all natural, and I'm going to see where I land. And I came in second at one show. I actually won 2 of my shows. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to take something and see how I do it the next show. Then I just continuously just got better and better and better.
So explain to me the first.
But I want to say something for everyone watching this, because I think this is really important. And I kind of brushed over it. The foundation for my bodybuilding career was already there for many, many years. And what I mean by that is, growing up in a household with a bodybuilder as my father, I knew what it was to eat 6 meals a day, good meals a day,
right.
Not eating shit on the street, eating good quality foods. I knew what it was to train hard. I knew what it was to not rely on supplementation to take my physique to wherever I wanted to go. So I think it's really important for everyone hearing this. Like, it's not like I was just like, oh, well, I just take this and I become a better bodybuilder.
Right,
no.
Right.
Everything else was already in line. That was just a tool that I used, for one, to confirm to me that I could be a good bodybuilder if I did supplement with these things. But 2, again, I wanted to make sure that I took the necessary steps to prove to myself that if I was going to take this risk on, because it's a risk. I mean, look at what happened to Cedric today. We're just hearing this news.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but since you brought it up, I see what you're saying.
That's what I want to bring it up, because it's a risk, and we never know what's going to happen. And I think we all need to be cognizant of that risk. We can't just continue to brush it under the rug and pretend like, these things don't happen. They happen.
So what do you think would be what could be done in order to stop it or slow it down? Because it's crazy. In the last 2 years, we lost a lot of people.
It's scary.
So what do you think needs to be done in order for that to not happen?
I have a bunch of suggestions, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more off camera. I have some things that I'd like to present. But I think what needs to be done is there needs to be some kind of, Jake Wood touched on it. I think there needs to be some kind of protocol for these athletes, especially I think it should be in place for all of the athletes, not just for select stars. I think everyone needs to be taken care of if we want to continue living on in this sport and growing the sport. I think everyone needs to be taken care of in some way, shape, or fashion. But I think some kind of testing where the IFBB and NPC requires these athletes to, before they get into a competition, like, just like we have to send in a contract. We sign a contract. This is the show that I want to do. I think with that, you send in blood work. Okay, I'm cleared to start preparing for this competition. Before, maybe 2 weeks before, you send in another blood work. Okay, I can compete. I'm still healthy. You know what I mean?
But who is going to be liable and to make the decision to tell someone, listen, your level is 1.2 high. You're not going to compete.
I think it's a slippery slope, right? Because nobody wants to be liable for that.
Exactly, and that's the problem, because there will be lawsuits. You're gonna have somebody. You're gonna have someone prepare for the Olympia. Let's say for the Olympia, and then 2 weeks before the show, you're going to do another test, and all of a sudden one level is not where it should be. And like liver enzymes and stuff like that, from training, they elevate it. When you do blood work, and I tell people all the time, stay away from the gym for at least 2-3 days. Don't exercise, don't do anything, because it will throw off your levels.
Yeah.
So, and those are the things that you can't do when you get ready for the Olympia. So
I think the liability falls. I think it should fall on the athlete. Look, I'm home. I can load up whatever, take it. That's nobody's responsibility but my own.
Right.
And I think it should continue that way.
Go ahead.
I think what needs to be done is we need to make a system where athletes that maybe don't have the means to provide blood work for themselves, they need to have better access to these things so that way they can know. Because I sit back and I wonder sometimes, like, hey, I wonder if that person knew that they were that unhealthy, if they would have continued down that road.
Right.
Because I can't, in my mind, and I'm not making any assumptions, because I don't know what happened with Cedric. I don't know what happened with a lot of these athletes that, unfortunately have passed away. But I can, in good conscience, I'm a single man. I don't have any kids. I don't have anyone in this world besides my mother and my father, my siblings, that I have to worry about. I worry about myself.
Right.
But I can't, as a man in good conscience, continue to drive myself into the ground knowing I just took this blood work and my shit's fucked up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what some of these men were thinking. Maybe winning the Olympia, maybe winning the Arnold is really that important to them that they don't care about how it may affect their families. But I want to believe that if they had the right information at their fingertips, that maybe they would have made smarter decisions.
Yeah. I think that the ones on top, the top guys, are more cautious about their health and stuff, especially in the last 2 years. But the problem is it's in the amateurs and in people that don't even compete, And my idea was to let's say in the beginning of the year, sometime in January, you got to do your physical. Blood work, not only blood work, EKG, just a physical. Yeah. And in that physical, I mean, and you just got to prove that you did the physical.
Yeah.
And then it's up to you as the athlete to understand, listen, my levels are not good. Something is not right. I ignore it or not. But I think just for people being aware would probably help 50% of the guys to like, okay, I got to do something about this.
Yeah.
And there's still going to be a few guys that's like, you know what? Fuck it.
Of course, yeah.
But, at least, let's say the IFBB Pro League or whoever makes these guys do a physical. So now you know where you're at. Now it's your responsibility to say, okay, I'm not healthy. I need to get healthy, or I'm going to just go ahead and die for.
Well, and I think that's really important because for me, this is a sport, like, it's really difficult for most people that didn't grow up watching the Olympia, the Arnold, maybe they got into it later in their 20s and their 30s, whatever. I grew up watching this as a young kid, right? So for me, having been to the Olympia was the equivalent of getting to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I was like in tears before leaving my room that I accomplished something so huge. And although I didn't do as good as I wanted to, I was still there. I was a part of it.
You'll forever be an Olympian. This can nobody ever take that away from you.
It's almost like the team that doesn't win the Super Bowl, they're bummed. But they're still like, fuck, we made it. We made it here.
Still the best, right? Still one of the best of the best.
It's an incredible feeling. I have an emotional attachment to our sport, and I want to see it continue to thrive. I want to see it continue to succeed. And I think having something like this, like what you're saying, in place benefits us or benefits the league, because what it does is it now takes some of the pressure off of them. Because what happens when somebody like Cedric passes away? Eventually, what it starts to turn is, well, the IFBB has to do something. And then the IFBB looks bad. you know, and I don't think that that's something that necessarily should fall on their shoulders, because as a grown man, I'm responsible for my own health.
Yeah.
But if I am competing in the organization, I understand where the correlation is being drawn. So if we were able to like have some kind of testing or some kind of something in place, that alleviates a little bit of the pressure off of the IBB, because of course I don't want to see the IBB get a, you know, black eye over something that they had no control over.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, as you said, there are guys that are going to say, fuck it, I'm going to go balls to the wall because this is important to me.
Yeah.
But if we have blood work to show, hey, look, they knew they were well aware that they were not healthy. They chose to continue. That's not on us. We can't stop people from doing that.
Yeah. But we know Cedric was under doctor's supervision. He was doing, because, you know, he retired from the sport.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't know I don't know what happened. We'll have to wait and find out. But it's a sad, sad day in bodybuilding, because Cedric was one of my favorite athletes when it comes to shapes and even his personality. You know, even though we know Cedric backstage was a different person, but overall Cedric was he was a true leader. You know, and it's very sad to see. And I feel so bad for his family, for his kids. I mean, it's just so many people that really love Cedric, and you know, and this hits hard, man. This hits hard, and I really wish this would stop, because you know, at the end of the day, we just lost Sean Roden not too long ago. So who's next?
George Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm glad you are the way you are, and you look after yourself, and that's very, very important, because at the end of the day, our health and our life, we have only one. So there's you know, we got to stretch it as long as you can.
And I think it's important, like, you know, I really wish that the guys now valued guys like yourself a little bit more. I look at guys like you, like Dexter, like Jay. You guys were at the top of the sport. You guys looked incredible. And you're still here, you're still healthy, you're still doing business, you're still, you know, vibrant. And I think that's, you know, yes, I want to look like the Dennis James that was freaky, busting out of his t-shirt. I want that. But I also want the Dennis of today who's still doing business, who's still involved in what he loved to do in bodybuilding, still making money from it, still has a family, healthy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also want that. I think the mentality needs to change, where I need to sprint to the finish line, and whatever happens between here and there, I'll deal with it later.
Right.
And I think that's the mentality that a lot of these guys have today. I want to be the Dexter Jackson that competes until 50, kicking ass, still making money, traveling the world, doing great things with his life. I want to do that because I do love competing, you know? But I also want to be healthy. I want to enjoy my time with my family and my friends.
Absolutely. The sport is great, but listen, it's not worth of risking losing 20, 25 years off your life. You know, at the end of the day, it can all prevent. I'm not saying that nothing can happen to anybody, because this is not. I don't think it has anything to do with steroids in Cedric's case or in some of the other cases. But
in Cedric's case,
you know, people get sick. It happens to the best of us. And it happens to people that don't have anything to do. Look at my brother. My brother died of, he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. He never smoked a cigarette in his life. You know, the day he found out, 2 weeks later, he was dead. You know, so, and therefore, you know, I mean, it happens so fast. At the end of the day, you know, and I wish I would have a bigger voice to tell these guys it's a little, get checked. I don't care if you like it or not, you know, and I know there's a lot of people, they just don't want to know. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to say, I don't want to know, you know, because I don't know. I know how that feels. You know, I wait till I come off, and then I'll wait a month or two, and then it should be fine. You know, I wish they would go check themselves, because it's really, really important, and we'll see it now every day, you know. So I'm glad that you do it the way you do it. Let me ask you something else though. Why the move to Florida? What was the reason for you leaving New York, going to Florida?
Several reasons. The biggest reason was the business opportunity that I was presented with opening this gym, that finally came to fruition.
So that was the goal of yours 4 years ago, whenever you moved to Florida. That was the reason?
That was the primary reason. As you remember, I was married. I went through a really tough time in my divorce, and was just a little bit lost with who I was going to be moving forward. I was so wrapped up in being a husband and being a provider and being a caretaker and a business owner. I had my store out in New York called Nutrition Locker. I had I had a whole life there that seemingly just collapsed on top of me. And I needed just an escape. You know, I needed to start something new. And my business partner and I were looking actually in New York. And as I started to do more research, I was kind of like, man, New York's expensive. I don't like it here. It's cold. My family's here, which is the only thing that I miss. Victor and my dad and my siblings, Juan and Marco. I miss all of that. Mm. I don't miss the cold. I don't miss the taxes. I don't miss the people. I don't miss any of that. Yeah. You know, it's just, I started looking around and I said, man, you know, I love warmer climate. Florida fits that pretty well. And we were looking to open a gym on the East Coast. I said, you know what? Florida's a hot spot for fitness and health. It's a hot spot for it. So I started to look, and I presented the idea with my business partner. He was like, go look for locations. Let's go do it. So a year after COVID hit, a year after I moved here, a year and a half after I moved here, COVID hit. So that delayed our plans almost 2 years. And then 10 months ago, we signed the lease on a place. We're kicking ass. We have a little over 1,400 members.
Already?
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. I would be so scared with opening gyms at this time with all this cheap corporate gyms with $10 memberships and stuff. So it's really hard to do it. But I guess you're doing well, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a 26,000 square foot location. It's a huge place. We offer all types of stuff. We have, you know, powerlifting room. We have obviously the weight floor. We have turf, so you can do strength and conditioning stuff there. We're building out a back place so you can do outdoor training as well. I mean, we have saunas, massage therapists. We have everything in the gym. It's really a well-equipped gym. And we're doing really well, thankfully. Florida's a place, like I said, if you have a good location, everyone in Florida wants to look good. Right. So it's not that hard. You just put some good equipment in there. And
so where are you located in Florida? Where is it?
We're in Plantation, Florida. It's in South Florida. So I'm about 40 minutes outside of Miami.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Really, really nice place. So the Sawgrass Mills Mall is the second most visited attraction in Florida outside of Disney World. We're right across the street from Sawgrass Malls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So what equipment are you using there? You mix it up a little bit?
We have all of the old school hammer strength stuff. We have some leverage pieces. But I really went out of my way, and I flew out to Italy. I spoke to the owner of Panada, Rudy. I'm sure you know who he is.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
Rudy's a great dude.
Yeah.
We have like
it looks like he signed a bunch of people to the Panada equipment.
Yeah. William Bonac is with him now. I'm with him. Victor's with him. We got a good crew of people there. Yarishna's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I went out there. I tried a bunch of equipment. We have like 14 or 15 pieces of his in the gym. I have some Atlantis stuff as well. And again, like some of the old school hammer strength stuff, you know, it's everything in the gym was handpicked by me and my partner. So It's a bodybuilder's gym. It's something that, like, Dennis, you'd go in there and you'd be like, man, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
But it's also great because, again, we offer so many other things. We have the classes, you know, Zumba and hip hop, dance, and all types of crazy shit. We have the turf where people are doing sprints and sled pulls and all types of stuff. So functional training stuff. We have like 30 treadmills, 10 step mills.
Sounds like a huge investment.
It was.
It sounds to me like a huge investment. We're talking a lot of money there. So yeah, I'm glad it worked, man. I'm glad it's successful, and I hope you what's your goal members wise? How many members do you think you?
I think we want to get about 2,000 members. We're about 1,400 10 months in. So
that's awesome.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We got there a lot faster. I mean, thank God for the career that I've had in bodybuilding. That definitely has helped push some people in the gym and helped us promote it, which is great. We've had some really big athletes. Again, Yarishna trains at my gym every now and again. Blessing, big dude. He comes to my gym every now and again. Anton. We have a bunch of athletes that come in and visit us regularly. So that also helps.
That's awesome. Are you there every day? All day?
Every day. I'm not there all day. So my partners, they go in at about 4 or 5 in the morning. We're open 24 hours. So they go in about 4 or 5 in the morning. They make sure the morning crew has everything they need. They usually leave around 11, 12. And then I go in around 5:30, 6 o'clock. I stay till about 11:30. I make sure the night crew has everything that they need, make sure everything's running smooth, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't understand that owning a gym is not that easy. You got to be there.
No, it's a lot of work.
It's almost like owning a bar or whatever. If you're not there, you're not making no money. People come to see you. They want to see you. They want to say hi. They want you to, that just comes with the.
That has become the most difficult part of this prep for me, is finding the time at the gym for me to go train. Because if I am there at 5:30, 5 o'clock, when rush hour traffic starts to come in, I can barely do a set without people like, hey, John, what's going on? And, and it's cool. That's part of my job.
Right.
I understand that people know who I am through the bodybuilding world, and they want to talk and get advice or whatever. That's cool. But a lot of people don't understand that when I'm training, I'm also doing my job, so I can present a good package.
But they don't know. They know that they're a member and you're the owner, and they want to say hi. They want to be cool with you. And that's why a lot of gym owners train somewhere else.
I know. So what I've had to do is I find a time, and I find the time between 12 and 2 o'clock. Those are our slowest hours. Is most people are at work or at school, so we're pretty slow around that time. That's when I go in and I train.
I'm surprised your dad hasn't maybe changed his mind and said, let's move to Florida.
He is. Is
he thinking about it?
He's heading down here now. Yeah, there's been some family stuff going on that has prevented that from happening, but I think that's happening pretty soon now. My brother just had a kid 2 years ago. My little sister just had a baby. So the family things is what's keeping them grounded there. But it's been 2 years now, so they're feeling like, okay, let me, my parents are 61 and 62 years old, so they're looking to get out of New York. I mean, my parents pay like $32,000 a year in taxes, just the property taxes.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's crazy. Think about that shit. You have to rent your own place.
Yeah, it's nuts. So, now that we're all older and out of the house, I'm like, wow, what are you keeping that house for?
Yeah.
Get rid of this shit. It's $30,000 a year. It's a car. You're buying a car every year in taxes, just throwing it away.
You're basically paying more than $2,000 a month to rent your own house.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. So, and New York is only getting worse with the way politics and stuff are there. It's just not a good.
Yeah. Yeah, it would probably be awesome to have everybody back. I was looking at Florida at one point too,
Yeah.
But then I remember I went down with the wife, and I was looking at houses, and then I actually liked the house. It was $400,000 back then. It was beautiful. It's probably $1 million now.
I'm sure.
And then all of a sudden the lady said something about hurricanes. My wife, she's from Thailand. She's like, oh, what is a hurricane? I said, that's a bad storm.
Yeah,
so she asked me, I said, what am I going to do when you're traveling? And I said, you're on your own.
That wasn't
so that was for her. I said, no Florida for
That's
her.
It. Yeah, meanwhile, everyone in Florida, there's been 2 hurricanes since I've been here. Everyone's kind of like, Why are you worried about it? Don't worry. They don't even care. They're just like, it's going to be a little bit of rain. Meanwhile, there's like the trees are blowing everywhere.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're staying too. I mean, if you're on the coast, you get it hard.
But yeah.
When was your last show?
So my last show would have been 2 years ago at the New York Pro this May.
So New York Pro 2020.
2020, yeah, I placed third. Ian won, Justin placed second, I placed third.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and their goal was to come back this year. So now we have to postpone that just a little bit. What do you think about the way bodybuilding is going right now? When you look at the Olympia, you follow everything. What do you see? What do you see compared to a few years?
First of all, I want to say you did an awesome job commentating. Awesome. I think.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you mean the Arnold just now?
The Arnold, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is something we need desperately. I think you guys did a great job. Hopefully we can have something similar for the Olympia. But dude, awesome job.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Of course. As far as like where the sport is going, I think the same thing. It's hard because you walk a fine line. I love to see some of these guys really pushing themselves and giving all that they can. Again, I just worry more about how things look down the road for our sport. If we continue having instances like we have been having where people are falling ill or worse, it's only a reflection on what is going to continue to be allowed or what is not going to be continued to be allowed in our sport. And for me personally, as a poor kid growing up in Washington Heights, and I'm not a Victor Martinez. I'm not a Dennis James. I have not had the level of success that you guys.
Not yet.
And I'm working.
You're still young. Because think about it. When you talk about me, I didn't turn pro until I was 32 or 33.
Wow.
So my career went all the way to 44. So you still got a lot of good years, my friend.
Yeah.
And I think, and I believe, and I know what you want to say, but I believe because looking at your physique, you fit in real good right now.
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect time for you to, if you nail the condition, this is a perfect time for you to fit in because you're just in between. You're not short. You're not tall.
Yeah. Not a mass monster, but I'm still.
But you real solid. You know what I'm saying? So I think you still have your best years are still ahead of you.
Thank you. But what I'm getting at is this sport, even though I haven't had the level of success that I would love to have at some point, it still has afforded me a really amazing life, right? And it can continue to afford many people an amazing life and career. It can. But I think if we continue down the path of rewarding progress as quickly as we've been rewarding that, I think we're heading down a pretty scary road.
Yeah.
I think that
I see what you're saying.
Things that have been happening are going to continue to happen. And again, at the end of the day, it's easier for people to point the finger than it is to look in the mirror.
True.
Right? So when people fall sick or fall ill or worse, it's easier for people to say, well, it's their fault than to say that individual took their own responsibilities upon themselves and did whatever they needed to do. You understand?
Yeah.
So I love the dedication that some of these guys are showing. I love the drive. I love the discipline. I love the willing to do whatever it takes. But if you truly love our sport, you also have to think about what we're teaching the people that are coming up under us.
True.
Right? I never, ever, I'm very careful about what I say because I don't want a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old kid to hear a podcast. Oh yeah, John takes 1,000 milligrams of so-and-so. That's what I need to do because I want to look like John. Right. When you and I both know some guys they could take 3, 4, 5,000 milligrams, but if they don't have the work ethic, the discipline to eat the food, they'll never look like you or I or so I think we have to be really careful. I think we have to really walk a tightrope here and take care of something that we all love and have benefited from. Again, I'm a poor kid from Washington Heights. My parents had very little education. My parents graduated college in their 30s, you know? But here I am. I've traveled the world. I have my own home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house by myself.
Right.
You know, I own a gym. I'm part owner of a gym. I own a clothing company. I've successful online.
By the way, the clothes look nice, man. I looked it up on online today. I didn't even know you had what's it called? Jacked what?
Jack Developments and Uplift Athletics.
But I liked it because you came up with Jack Developments because it's Jon De La Rosa.
Exactly.
I like
that. The logo is JD.
I like that. Hey, hook a brother up, will you?
Oh, I send you stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, hook a brother up.
Send it.
You know,
I mean, it's afforded me a great life, and I've had to like build off of it. But we can all do that. Yeah. You know, and it's a viable, respectable career. You know, I mean, I haven't met anyone. Of course, people are judgmental, like, oh, look at this big meathead, probably sells steroids. Mm-hmm. And then they hear me talk, or they just give me a moment, and they're like, oh man, that's an intelligent guy. You know what I mean?
True.
And that's what I feel like so many of us can continue to have. We just have to take care of our baby, and the sport is our baby.
Right.
You know?
Then take care of your own body. That's what I tell people all the time. You got to take care of your own. I think you still have a great future ahead of you. You already achieved a lot, but I think there's so much more in there. And now seeing and listening to you, I can tell your head's free.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate that you have this biceps micro tear, but you're going to get through this. And I expect that Jon De La Rosa, I expect the best Jon De La Rosa we have seen sometime in the end of the year, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
That's definitely the goal, and I appreciate your support. You've always been super supportive of me, and again, I have nothing but the best intentions. I want to be my absolute best. There's no secret. I am not the kind of guy that puts out like all of this frou like I'm the best guy in the world. I'm disappointed in my career. I'll be the first one to admit it. I do not like that the last 4 years of my life have been kind of, my bodybuilding career has been at a standstill. Do I blame my divorce for it? I blame myself. My divorce had something to do with it. It messed me up mentally. Yeah. But I could have pulled myself out of that. You know.
But it's easier said than done. You know, and we all know.
Easier said than done. But there's a lot that I haven't accomplished, and that I still need to accomplish. Not for anyone else but me. Yeah. And absolutely, next time I step on stage, Patrick Tour and I, you know, I told him, I was talking to a bunch of different coaches, and I really, on my way back to the stage, I really wanted to make sure that the connection that I had with my coach was something that they believed as well as I did, that I can accomplish. I didn't want to be with, I mean, I can pay anyone and say, yeah, my coach is, you know, he believes I'm going to be Mr. Olympia, right? If I'm paying him, they're going to say that. But I want somebody that really believes in my goal. And I'm not saying that needs to be Mr. Olympia. My goal for this show was to be the absolute best Jon De La Rosa that I can possibly be. Yeah. And he believed that that's what we can do. And that's 1,000,000% what I'm going to present next time I get on stage, which is why I didn't announce anything. Right. I just wanted to show people, hey, I'm back. I'm training. The muscle's coming back. The conditioning is coming back. And when I was within striking distance, then I was going to do it. Okay. But I wasn't going to fall victim to saying, hey, I'm going to do New York Pro without really knowing how my body was going to respond and not be my best again, because you and everyone else that likes to see Jon De La Rosa deserves my best.
Yeah, we'll see your best. I'm convinced. And with Patrick in your corner, I think that's going to work very well for you.
I think so too.
He's a good coach, man. And people sometimes, don't get enough credit. But I think and I remember when he started in the beginning, I mean, he came a long way. He's very in with his athletes. And I know how hard that is, because it's easy to forget stuff, especially when you got some of the top guys. I mean, listen, you can't forget nothing. Yeah. So I think you're in good hands, and your head is in a good place. I'm really happy. And you can't say, you stood still the last 4 years. Look what you accomplished in the last year and a half with opening the gym. You got your house, you have everything. You got everything going for you. So now use that, bring that body back together, and kill it on stage, brother. I can't wait to see you, and I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully, if everything works out time-wise, you'll make it to the Olympia. I can maybe announce you back on stage at the Olympia. That would be perfect. All right, my man.
Thank you, DJ. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I know you're busy, so I'm gonna let you go because I see you're dark in the back sleeping. He probably ready to go for a walk now.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Stay safe, my man. God bless you, man. I love you, brother. Take care.
See you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
All right. Take care, bud. Bye-bye.